I made a mistake. Yep, Muppet's back. Hello. So how do you stack in Pixinsight? Until now, I've only been stacking in Deep Sky Stacker because I just didn't understand the process in Pixinsight. Now, Pixinsight is slightly different because it requires multiple steps that you have to do, whereas Deep Sky Stacker kind of does it all for you, but Pixinsight gives you so much more control over the image, so I wanted to learn how to do it. There are 4 procedures that you need to do in this process. The first one is to blink your light frames so that you can remove any that are substandard. They've got satellites and all of that kind of thing going through them. The next step is to use the weighted batch pre-processing script, which only calibrates your frames. It does not stack them, it just calibrates your frames. And then you have to do the alignment, which is the star alignment, and that aligns all of your frames. And then the final step is image integration, where you actually finally stack them all together. So let's go into Pixinsight and we'll go through the whole process. This is how you stack in Pixinsight. The first thing you need to do is get your folders sorted so you know where all of your different files are. So here we are, here are my folders, and I've got different types of files in different folders that you can see here. The first step of the process is to ensure that your light frames are all of sufficient quality. So we need to do a process called blinking, which is here. So we've got the blink process, and to find that you go processes, all processes, and then down to blink. You need to put your light frames in here. So I'm just going to drag and drop those frames onto here like that. It then loads those frames. And what we're going to do now is just play through these and look for things like satellites, any star trails, any cloud. And we're going to get rid of those frames because we don't want those in. So let's press play and we'll be able to see all of these files blinking through. Oh, there was a satellite there. And there was another satellite in the bottom corner here. Apart from that, it's not looking too bad actually. Okay, so we'll stop that process. And now we'll just step through using the cursor keys to find the individual frames which we don't want. Okay, there's a satellite. So I'm going to unselect the tick there just so I know about it. And there's the other satellite. So I'm just going to untick that one. And the rest of those frames look pretty good. So this is where we have to select them. Now, having a tick next to them does not mean they are selected. You have to make them orange. So I'm going to just go through and using Control and Shift, I'm just going to go through and select all of the ones that we want. The one which didn't have the tick there is not selected. That had a satellite going through it, and the same with this one here. I would also get rid of ones which are too cloudy or where there are star trails. The next stage is to go to the save icon and copy those files to your destination folder. So we'll click save there and we'll go to the destination folder. And then we can save those in this selected folder. I've now been through all of the data and I've saved all of those light files into a single folder called lights blinked so that I know where they are basically. So these are all of the files that we have. In addition to this, I have got flat frames, which are all of these frames here. I have dark frames, which are here. These are all of my dark frames. And I have dark flat frames or flat dark frames, which I've got here. This gives us enough information to be able to calibrate our light frames. We've now finished with the blink process. We're now going to calibrate the light frames. So we go to Script, Batch Processing, and Weighted Batch Processing. We're now going to add the individual frames to this program. First of all, we'll go to Lights, we'll click the plus for the files, and then we navigate through to our blinked lights, which is all of these, and we add those. So those have been added. Then we go to flats, we click on the plus, and then we navigate to our flats, and we add those. We then go to darks and do exactly the same again. So we've got our darks. We now have to add our dark flats. Because there isn't a dark flats tab at the top, what we have to do is add custom, which is just here. So we click that. We then select our files. Okay, so those are our files. Those are all in there. We then need to tell them that they're dark frames. So we add them as dark frames, and we need to put in the duration. So we've got 0.06737, so we just put that there. 0.06737, and then click OK. And we can now see under the darks tab, we've got our original darks, and then we've got our dark flats here. There's nothing else that I'm going to change here. I'm not going to change anything in the flats. Under the lights, all I'm going to do is check that we've got generate drizzle data ticked here. Then we just click on diagnostics, and it says no, we don't have any bias frames, which is correct because for a CMOS camera you don't need bias frames. And then we're going to select a registration reference image. So if I just navigate through to our lights and then just select the first one that we've got here, and then that's populated this here. You can actually just leave it on automatic as well, and it will automatically select a light frame as a reference. The output directory here also needs to be set, and in this case I've created a folder called Pixprocess, and I'm going to select that as my folder. And then we click run. This takes a long time, so I'm going to come back once it's finished. Once the process is finished, you'll see a message like this. You can either save that or you can just click done, as I'm going to. The weighted batch pre-processing script has now created several folders in our Pixprocesses folder. We can see here, so if I go to Pixprocesses, we've got calibrated, debayered, logs, master, and registered. In each of these folders, there are various files which have been created from the pre-processing process. It's not actually stacked anything at all at this point. So we now use the files in some of these folders to continue with our stacking process. We can now close out of the weighted batch pre-processing script, and we're going to go to star alignment. What we need to do now is add our files. So let's go to our folder. So we select file from here and then navigate through to our folder. And we want to go into the debayered pictures because those are already RGB color images from our camera. And we select one of those. Again, that's just a reference image for this process. We then have to add our actual files. So we go to add files. And then we need to make sure we're still in debayered, which is here. Select all of the files, and they've now been populated here. We're going to click on generate drizzle data, and that's it. There's nothing else that I'm going to change here. Hello, it's Future Andy here. I made a mistake. Yep, Muppet's back. Hello. I totally forgot to say that in star alignment, when you've added everything, you also need to set your output directory. So I won't just add all the files again, but I'll just show you. You click there, and then you have to go to where your output directory is. So it would be in here, and I would normally create a new folder. But in this case, I forgot to create a new folder. So basically it puts the files back in the source folder. So in this case, it was in the debayered folder. So sorry about that, made a mistake. And I'm just going to apply those settings. Once the star alignment process is finished, if we look back in our folder, all of our light files, which were debayered before, have been processed with star alignment, and also the drizzle data files, which are these ones which have XDRZ on the end of their extension, have been created. We've now finished with star alignment, so we can close that down, and now we're actually going to stack our images with image integration. So the first thing we need to do is add our files. So we go to Add Files. We then need to select all of our star aligned and registered files. Those are the ones with the little R on the end here. So I've selected those, and then we click Open. And then we need to add our drizzle files. So we just need to go in and select all of our drizzle files. Then under pixel rejection, we just need to select Windsorized Sigma clipping, and then we just need to click on the Apply Global. Once this process is finished, you'll get 3 new windows. 2 of those will be rejection files, which you can just close because we don't need those. And then this is the finished stacked image. So let's just go to Screen Transfer Function and we'll have a look at it. So I'll unlink those and stretch. And that is the finished stacked image ready to be processed in Pixinsight. So we can just zoom in and have a look at the stars, and it's looking pretty good. The drizzle has worked, the stars are looking nice and round, and it's looking very good. So that's now ready to be processed. That's the basics to stacking in Pixinsight. I hope that was useful. I genuinely didn't know how to stack in Pixinsight, and I've always used Deep Sky Stacker. So I wanted to do a video just to show all the really basic steps. There's a lot more to it, but that just gives you the basic steps so that you can stack images together in Pixinsight. Please like and subscribe. I hope it was useful, and take care, everybody.